We are coming up on a brand new MLB season. 2023 has to be the year that a lot of these players bounce back, because if they don't, they might get labeled by fans as overpaid or overrated. So in today's video, we're going to discuss 10 different players that have to bounce back in 2023. And by the way, it can happen. Just ask Eugenio Suarez and Mariners fans, because Suarez was terrible in 2021 and he was amazing in 2022. So yeah, it is possible. Two things I want to mention real quick. Number one, we're not going to be talking about old guys like Joey Votto or Miggy. Their resume is set in stone. They're just old. And also rookies like Spencer Torkelson, they have plenty of time to figure things out. So true rookies, we're not going to talk about them today. But Joe Adell, yeah, we're talking about him. He's no longer a rookie. We'll get to him in a second. So the first player that we're going to talk about in today's video, Joe Adell's teammate, Anthony Rendon. Now, the problem with Anthony Rendon is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. We can see that over the last 2 seasons combined, he played in 58 games in 2021 and then 47 games in 2022. And even when he has been healthy, he hasn't been very good. But one thing I am going to do in this video is I'm going to say something nice about every single player in today's video. Anthony Rendon still managed a 101 OPS plus, even with a career low 258 BABIP. That is batting average on balls put in play. So you can make the argument that he got unlucky at a high rate last year, and maybe in 2023, he's going to be back to lucky, or at least normal version of Anthony Rendon. But if he doesn't pick it up, he's definitely going to be not only overpaid, but overrated as well. Now, this one kind of hurts me because I do like Lucas Giolito, even as a Guardians fan. I just think it's a lot of fun to watch a guy who's 6'6", hide his grip pretty well. He has a devastating changeup. He's a lot of fun to watch. But in 2018, Lucas allowed the most earned runs and walks of any pitcher in baseball. And then a few years later, he had a regression back to his 2018 self. He had a 4.9 ERA in 2022. The strikeouts were down. The walks were up. Now, even with the strikeouts being down, I still want to say one nice thing about him. He's still able to get hitters to swing and miss fairly often, but when they do put the ball in play, it was absolutely torched. So Lucas Giolito, yeah, in my opinion, he has to bounce back. Otherwise, a lot of people aren't going to think he's the ace going forward. Obviously, right now, it has to be Dylan Cease. We're not going to spend too much time on my friend Joey Gallo. We all know what he brings to the table. He has an elite eye at the plate. The problem with Joey Gallo is even though he walks at a high clip and he does have the power to hit 40 to 45 home runs, he swings and misses at a historic pace. It's not fun to watch. He had a 79 OPS plus in 2022, a 280 on base percentage. So Joey Gallo, even if he's hitting 220, usually he has a 330 to 350 on base percentage. That has not been the case since being acquired by the Yankees. Then he went to the Dodgers. Now he's on the Twins. Joey Gallo, he brings great defense, great power, but consistency, that's not his strong suit. And if he doesn't perform in this contract year, I'm not sure how many people are going to be willing to give him $10+ million. My God, have the mighty have fallen. Jose Brios was a nightmare for myself. I'm a Guardians fan. You guys know that. He was an absolute terror to me and all of the other teams in the Central. I was so happy to see him go. But then he put up a 5.23 ERA in 32 starts. The strikeouts dipped as well. He only had 149 strikeouts and 172 innings. I guess the one positive that you can say about Jose Brios, he is going to throw a lot of innings. He threw 192 back in 2018, 200 the next season, and then in back-to-back seasons, 2021 to 2022, he was averaging about 180 innings. So the strikeouts were down, the walks, they were about the same. I don't know exactly what Jose Brios has to do to get the strikeouts back up and to not allow so many hits, but Brios 100% has to bounce back because he might get pushed out of that rotation. Between Yusei Kikuchi and Jose Brios, the Jays, they've burnt a lot of money on starting pitching. Just like Joey Gallo, Cody Bellinger is in yet another walk year. So he was in the final year of his contract in 2022. He signed a 1-year deal with the Cubs. So yet again, he has another walk season, $16 million from the Cubs. Like Gallo, he's going to play pretty good defense, Gold Glove level defense in the outfield, but getting on base has not been his strong suit. Over his last 239 games, Cody Bellinger is hitting 193 with a 256 on base percentage and a 64 OPS plus. You could genuinely make an argument that Cody Bellinger has been the worst hitter in baseball since 2021 began, which is crazy because back in 2017 to 2019, Cody had a stranglehold on the game of baseball. He was one of the faces, if not the face. Yes, up there with Trout, up there with Harper, up there with Judge and a lot of guys. Cody Bellinger, I mean, he was a heartthrob as well. Not that that really matters, but it kind of does. Like, everyone loved Cody Bellinger. Everyone. Now hear me out in regards to Christian Yelich. The reason why he's in today's video is because we know what prime Christian Yelich looks like. I'm going to put up this tweet right here. Look at Christian Yelich from like July of 2018 to 2019, something like that, over a 162 game stretch. The dude was out of his mind. So the fact that he got a 9-year contract worth $215 million, he just refuses to lift the ball. Now again, a positive about Christian Yelich, he absolutely deletes baseballs. His exit velos are still really good. But when your slugging percentage in consecutive years goes from 671 to 430 to 373 and then back up a little bit to 383, I mean, you're just not worth your contract. And for me, Christian Yelich is 100% heading towards overpaid. And also, I know he was nominated for a Gold Glove, but don't get it twisted. Christian Yelich, he stinks at defense. I don't know if I have to say a lot of words. Aroldis Chapman, he's 34 years old, going on 35. It's his birthday in a few weeks, but a 4.46 ERA. The strikeouts were still there. A positive about Chapman, we all know he's one of the few lefties in baseball that can throw 102 from the left side. That's about it. The PR and everything behind Aroldis Chapman, it's a little sketchy. His walks were insane last year. I wouldn't trust Aroldis Chapman, but the Royals, they gave him $3 million. It's a very low risk, kind of high reward if it pans out. If not, they'll just trade him at the deadline and get a few prospects for him. This contract is not looking all that great. Nick Castellanos, my goodness, even though he was one of the only players in baseball last year to not have a single error, over 1,000 innings in right field. Yes, not a single error. He played some pretty good defense and clutch defense for the Phillies in the playoffs, but 13 home runs and a 95 OPS plus. Again, all the credit in the world for him focusing on defense in the Phillies. They had some strategies to help him out, but a 305 on base percentage, a 389 slugging, again a 95 OPS plus after having a 138 OPS plus the year prior in 2021. Yeah, he's definitely heading towards overpaid if he doesn't pick it up soon. Now, some of you might not think that Herman Marquez is deserving to be in this video, but Herman Marquez is actually a stud. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. Herman Marquez has one of the better curveballs in baseball, and he's only 28 years old, going in a walk year, so he will be a free agent. He has to prove it to the rest of the league that he can be dominant yet again. From 2018 to 2020, you can't really focus on the ERA because it's always going to be inflated at Coors Field. He had a 3.63 FIP. That is really good, and a near 10 strikeout per 9. He throws really hard. Herman Marquez, his production did dip in 2022. He had an almost 5 ERA, and the FIP wasn't good at all. A 4.71 FIP. He has to bounce back. And one more thing I love about Herman Marquez, even though he gets shelled, he's still pretty much a lock to throw 30 plus starts. That is huge for teams like the Orioles or the Red Sox, teams that are kind of short in the starting pitching department, and they just need guys that can just go out there and eat innings. So Herman Marquez, he has to bounce back, and I hope he does. He's a lot of fun to watch. So if you guys are keeping up, we should be on our final player, but where's Jo Adell? I'm going to go ahead and combine Jarred Kelenic and Jo Adell because they're not going to be overrated. They're not going to be overpaid. They're actually going to be subject to a term that we call a 4A player, someone that absolutely destroys AAA pitching, but as soon as they get brought up to the big leagues, they just forget how to hit baseballs. Jarred Kelenic in his first 500 at-bats is hitting 168 with a 66 OPS plus. Jo Adell in his first 522 at-bats, so a pretty similar sample size, he's hitting 215 with a 70 OPS plus. I can say the same thing about both of these guys. They are extraordinary athletes. They have all the talent in the world. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if MLB pitching is just that much better than AAA, because sometimes AAA, not to kind of talk smack about them, but you're subject to guys who have been in the minors for a decade. They're not good enough to make it to the bigs, so they're kind of just filling roster spots. I know I'm going to sound like a jerk when I say this, but Jarred Kelenic and Jo Adell, they're facing a lot of guys that just are older. They're not good enough to make it to the pros, so they're feasting on lesser talent, and then when they get called up, they just don't have it in them. I hope that they do, because a -2 WAR for Jarred Kelenic and a -1.7 WAR for Jo Adell, again, if they're not already, they could become 4A players. I'm a fan of every single player that we talked about in today's video. I hope that they bounce back, because that means more money in their pocket and their reputation is going to get saved a little bit. So thanks for watching. If you click on this button right here, that will get you to subscribe. And also, if you're bored, there's a video right below that. Watch it.